Welcome to my stock photo of a den. Pull up a seat, get cozy. I'm continuing my Hidden Gems series of chats about some games I've gotten to enjoy, but that not many others have tried out. Well, today that den could turn into dent, or wooden, or residential, because today's Hidden Gem is the 50s word game, Bali. That's right, I think this word game that hasn't seen a new printing in 45 years is worthy of some attention. In fact, many years ago I got my own copy of this printed on demand since it was so hard to find. So, the bits of this game I'll show you won't match any copy you'll get, but I am quite glad I went through the effort to do this, since Bali is a shockingly good word game. It's also shockingly simple. Everyone has 7 columns of cards, each column starting with just one letter card in it. Most of the time, your turn will involve choosing one of the columns and adding any number of other columns onto it, whether they belonged to you or your opponent, to make a word or part of a word. Instead of that, you can spend your turn scoring one of your own words, removing it from play, and getting points based on multiplying the length of the word and the point values on the cards. So, long words full of unusual letters is the most rewarding play. A bit unlike Scrabble, where the best plays involve lots of short, obscure, borderline acceptable words that are in the right place on the board. Because full columns can be stolen, your words or fragments rarely feel fully safe. If you make graph, for instance, the opponent could easily steal it, maybe making photograph. Now, it's not likely that all of those letters will be around at the same time, so maybe they'll make O-graph. But now either of you could steal O-graph, and it can't be scored as it is to keep it safe from harm. It's not unusual to be blindsided by the theft of a complete word. In my plays, we've stolen adequate to make inadequate, jack to make hijack, toxins to make biotoxins, strange for estrange, functional to dysfunctional, and so many others. Those big swings are really rewarding to pull off, and multi-steel chains passing from person to person can be tons of fun too. One last bit of excitement comes in Bali-ing. If, at the end of the game, you have been able to score all of your columns as complete words, you double your score. And it's unusual for someone who has Bali'd to lose, so it's a very big deal. At least one printed version has changed this to a less extreme flat 50-point bonus. The decisions of when to extend a word can feel really tough. For instance, if you have a decent word like spark, but you see an L out there, should you take it? Because of the multiplicative nature of scoring, making sparkle, sparkly, sparkler, sparkling, or anything like that is worth a lot more than just spark. But if the game ends and you haven't extended beyond SPARKL, you've scored nothing on it, and you're prevented from Baliing. Your opponent will also likely try to deny you the letters that you need to the best of their ability. And for longer word extensions, like going from tramp to trampoline, there's even more danger. Now, the game offers nothing to people who don't like word games. You have to enjoy putting together letters and word fragments and making something bigger. You won't convert someone who hates Scrabble and Boggle and Bananagrams into loving Bali. But for the kind of person who does enjoy word building games and wants some exciting highs and rewards for big words, Bali is great. It's not perfect, of course. In most or all published versions of Bali, there's one baffling design decision in particular that gets a lot of ire from the small fan community. The 2 wild cards are worth more points than the other cards in the game. So they're so much better than getting dealt a J, X, Q, or Z. They're flipped up on your turn, then you're just lucky to be you. kind of a bad feeling for the other player. Seems like an odd bit of imbalance. I and many others have house ruled that the wild cards give 0 points, just like blank tiles in Scrabble. Perhaps that sort of lucky jackpot feeling was nice in 1954 when Bali came out, but there's no reason to keep that around. Also, a chunk of players will absolutely hate the feeling of having stuff stolen from them constantly, as happens in this game, so Bali would not be for them either. One final nitpick is that occasionally games can clog up if the deck just has bunches of consonants in a row. Spending several turns making consonant clusters, hoping that a vowel comes up, isn't a great feeling. There isn't anything quite like Scrabble where you can trade in a whole rotten rack at once. You can just shuffle back a single column if you're completely stymied. But if you can overlook these issues and you want a rules-light word game that rewards big swings, big words, and clever steals, then Bali is for you. Hidden gem number 3. If you aren't lucky enough to find a vintage copy in a thrift store and want to make your own copy, I've put a link in this video's description to my deck upload on ArtsCow from the late 2000s, which is shockingly still available. BoardGameGeek users have also made suggestions on how to use other games' components, such as Scrabble tiles, to get a close approximation. I'm excited for you to join me again sometime in my game den. Until then, remember, you can lose a game, but never lose your sense of play. Thanks for visiting.